that is on the ship. And yeah, from there they'll get on that helicopter that you mentioned.
Yeah, and the flight surgeon will be the first to greet the crew once that hatch is open, and they'll help the recovery team, and crew will help if they need to. And we actually, again, 3 years ago today, the Inspiration 4 crew lifted off and did their 3-day mission in space. So we'll get to hear some of their thoughts on what that was like exiting the capsule for the first time coming back down to Earth.
It was a really kind of a bittersweet time. Like, we knew we had just completed all these different milestones. We had done all that research, and I know Polaris done. They have so much more research they're going to get through. But we had just got down into the water, and now we're just sitting there waiting and waiting to come out and then go on to the next thing, right? And how do we take this story, how do we take this experience and share it with everybody that's been experiencing it with us, which they were watching us the entire time, which I think was amazing. We had so many people donate to St. Jude during our flight. That was one of the most incredible things to learn about.
Yeah, later that night after Splashdown, when we found out we surpassed our $200 million fundraising, I was just so happy.
And I love the fact that, our families heard the sonic boom of us coming home. It's like we announced, here we come.
I'm glad they knew that was a good thing.
Yeah, that's right.
But my was an aerospace engineer. He was like, yeah. He was so excited to hear that. He knew exactly what it was.
And we were the first SpaceX crew to splash down in the Atlantic. So we were the first crew to cause a sonic boom back over Florida since the shuttle stopped flying.
Yeah, special moment, Right. And I just remember getting back onto the boat and and then working on opening up the side hatch for the first time, and Anil being there to welcome us. And
welcome home.
Never forget that.
And I think about the fact that, Anil got to greet us, and now he's a NASA astronaut, and the fact that Anna gets to go and have that experience.
She was with our families.
Yes.
She was supporting them, and all of them were supporting our mission. So Sarah was in mission control. She was chatting with us for launch and in space, and she had trained us to that point. And then Kid was one of the first faces that we saw back on Earth. He had been there every step of the way. And
with fried chicken.
I was ready for some Earth food when I got back.
I thought that was funny because you were like, fried chicken. I just remember you kind of like
hanging out of our mouths as we were diving.
Yeah, there's this photo, and I'm still like getting used to gravity again, which we had been there 3 days. I didn't think it'd be such a readjustment, but I'm laying on the stretcher. I've been eating fried chicken, and it's all over me, and I didn't even sit up. I was like, I don't care. I'm so happy.
I remember Anil coming in and being like, to help us get out of our suit, out of our seats, and thinking, I've got this. I've got to be like, this is going to be my Phoenix Rising moment coming off. What were you thinking when you first got up on the land and, it was onto the boat, and the camera's there and you're standing?
I know. I felt like I wanted to have a good show as well, but the problem I had was at the boat, and now all of a sudden I'm unsteady, and so I look like this, this kind of elephant who's learning how to walk for the first time. I was really excited to be back and to go see everyone and share the story, and I felt great. I felt awesome, and I looked at you, and you were just strutting your way on to the next section, and then Jared, of course, followed behind me.
Oh yeah, Jared was last out. Jared always let us go first.
Yep, ladies first.
Yep.
Love hearing the Inspiration 4 is really of their own spaceflight mission. I'm sure that the second time around for Jared will feel a little bit different. He, had flown on the Inspiration 4 mission, as they were mentioning, and this is a cool view because we can start to see how close the recovery vessel is to the Dragon capsule. We still have the fast boat there working to install the straps that are required to lift the vehicle into that nest that you see there. So that arm will actually extend out over the water, and that is what will lift the Dragon capsule up and into that nest there at the end. That nest will then translate to the forward end of the boat, the recovery vessel, and that's where we open up the side hatch.
Oh, wow. That is just an incredible view. Some great lights, some clear water.
Clear skies, we got the moon.
Yeah, the moon in the background, and all brought to you by Starlink. I loved hearing that Haley's first thing coming out of the capsule was eating fried
Dragon
chicken.
SpaceX, be advised, transitioning forward link. Comm will be unavailable for a little less than 5 minutes.
Copy that, SpaceX.
Yeah, getting some fried chicken fresh off the Dragon capsule. Cool full circle moment with Anil, that is Anna Menon's husband, was the flight surgeon that greeted the Inspiration 4 crew, which is really cool. And now Anna has completed her mission. Just so cool to see that full circle moment. Again, I can't believe this is all happening on the same day that the Inspiration 4 launched 3 years ago.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, so we can start the recovery team getting closer to the Dragon capsule, one of the fast boats there in the background, as well as the capsule itself coming into view. This arch, rather, that you see in a perfectly vertical, that will actually extend out to about 45 degrees or so, and it will happen quite quickly. Basically, once all of the straps are in place and secure and tight, that arm will extend. You can see a protective buoy there at the end of the vessel to help make sure that nothing comes into contact with the Dragon capsule. But once those straps are attached and that arm, that hydraulic arch is extended out, the Dragon capsule will actually be lifted up and out of the water efficiently and placed into that circular basket-looking thing, or what we call it a nest. And that is basically the landing point for the Dragon capsule. You can see a concave shape to help support the similarly concave-shaped heat shield at the bottom of the Dragon capsule.
And once the Dragon capsule is in the drag, we'll translate and move forward towards the front of the boat, actually more towards the middle of the boat, to a platform. As you probably can see on the Dragon capsule, the hatch is about the Dragon capsule. So there is a platform for when they open up that hatch that it is very easy to exit the capsule to the platform.
Now, while we can't see the crew themselves, they are remaining strapped in with their safety harnesses, but at this point in time, they have opened up their visor, excuse me, as the dynamic portion of flight has concluded. We do continue to flow some cooled nitrox or nitrogen mixture in through their suits to help keep them comfortable during this phase. But they are also, at this point in time, allowed to retrieve their water bottles, which had previously been stored for re-entry. So, they're able to stay cool and hydrated and just hang out and enjoy the last few minutes within their home for the last 5 days.
They've done a lot of great work this week, so they get a little bit of time to relax and patiently wait as they wait for that hatch to open and get that first fresh breath. Again, just some great views here. This is the recovery vessel with the helipad on top of it. Again, the helicopter is going to land on that pad there, board the crew, and take them back to land very quickly, back to their families and friends that'll be there to greet them back to Earth.
I love this drone shot that we have. First time we've had a view like this for our recovery operations, and it's...
Dragon SpaceX, comm check.
You loud and clear, how many?
Loud and clear, forward link transition complete.
Copy that, SpaceX.
All right, we can see the recovery team continuing to pull the Dragon capsule a little bit closer. There's still the bucket where the main parachutes are stored during flight. You can also see at the top of, basically at the top of what is the side hatch, there's another bucket, and that's where the drogue parachutes are located.
Dragon SpaceX, rigging complete, approximately 5 minutes until capsule lift.
Copy that. 5 minutes till capsule lift.
And again, the core communicating to the crew as they can't see outside of the capsule. So there's a lot of movements going on. There's a lot of sounds that they're going to be hearing. And there you can see the hydraulic lift mechanism lowering into position in preparation for lifting the Dragon capsule out of the water.
We'll see the recovery team individual who's there placing those attachment straps onto the straps that he's already basically put around the circumference of the Dragon capsule. That individual will bit higher on the capsule and then jump off into the dark water. And here's a cool view from above that helicopter pad. That is where the helicopter will land and take the 4 crew members back to. So about 5 minutes, well, at this point, 4 minutes until the capsule is lifted out of the water.
Dragon SpaceX, brace for capsule lift.
There they go.
Copy that, SpaceX. We're bracing.
It's probably warm water, Kate.
Yeah, you know what? Sea creatures ahead.
They're not going to hurt you.
We can see the Dragon capsule now coming out of the water. Our first view of that well-loved heat shield at the bottom of the Dragon resilience vehicle. Dragon now completely out of the water and will be lowered onto that cradle there. Once the Dragon capsule is lowered, we will see the recovery team, who are obviously out of the way for safety reasons at this point in time. But once the capsule is translated and secured, we'll see them begin to hose it down with fresh water. As we reuse these capsules, we want to try and minimize the effects of corrosion, which of course happen due to. So we will actually begin to see not only that basin where the main parachutes were located, that will get rinsed out, as well as the overall capsule.
And the crew is now on the recovery vessel, probably their first moment of a little bit more stability being back on Earth. Again, what will happen next is once the Dragon capsule is fully seated in the nest, and we'll remove all the rigging from the capsule, that will then translate that capsule and move it forward to a platform.
Dragon SpaceX, welcome aboard the recovery vessel. Recovery personnel are completing final checks. Stand by for translation to the egress platform.
Copy that, SpaceX. Standing by.
All right, great news there. And it looks like actually the estimation for lift was we completed it 2 minutes early. So like I said, it's a pretty efficient operation. The recovery team, not only have they performed this on numerous actual human space flight missions, but also in rehearsals and training procedures of their own. So it looks like the crew members that you see there have donned some PPE once again. These are respirators that help to ensure that if there are any lingering hypergolic fumes, that they will not be exposed to it. So they are actually installing plugs into basically the outlet of those Draco thrusters and performing additional hypergolic sniffs to ensure that there are no residual fumes. Once they install all of the necessary Draco plugs, they will continue with a final round of detection checks. And
Dragon SpaceX, looking for your okay to come on board with cameras.
SpaceX Dragon, you're welcome aboard with the cams.
SpaceX copies.
Recovery team continuing with the installation of those safety plugs to help prevent any fumes from the Draco thrusters. Our Draco engines utilize hypergolic propellants, and those are toxic to humans, of course, and so we want to ensure the safety of our recovery team as Polaris Dawn crew. So we're going to close up those thrusters and perform some additional fume checks before allowing anyone to approach. Oh, our first view into Splashdown. Got some happy faces, visors up, and then seatbelts on.
Yeah.
The classic kid thumbs up.
Yes, I love it.
Yep. I've actually along with. I've been following along with the procedures that they have on their tablets. They're located on their legs, and it's actually written into they're seated and restrained, just in case if anybody inside was feeling daring. They are still required to keep all hands inside the ride at all times.
That is actually very important. They have been out in space for 5 days. They don't have gravity, forcing their muscles to be working the way that we utilize them here on Earth. So it is important that when they do take their first steps, that we have some of the crew team there to support them in case they need any help.
Absolutely.
Again, it's only been 5 days. The Inspiration 4 crew did 3 days, and they were able to pretty easily walk out of the capsule, but we'll see how gravity.
Yeah. Everyone seems to be pretty calm and collected and just chilling out as they await for the Dragon capsule. Looks like that should be happening just in the next couple the next couple minutes as the recovery team completes their safety installations and removing some harnessing connections. That nest that the Dragon will move toward the forward end of the vessel, where there is basically in the central part of the vessel there is a deck where SpaceX are standing by, and as Jesse said, will be able to assist the astronauts if necessary to get out of the capsule or egress, as we say.
And a cool view here, just looking from behind the seats. On your left-hand side is Commander Jared Isaacman, and your right-hand side is our pilot, Kid Poteet.
Kind of get a feel for the difference in seat position in terms of the position that it's in now and the position that the seats were in while the crew was still in space. The warning and the 1.21 gigawatts stickers were a little bit closer to us, I feel like. So it kind of gives you a feel for the amount of rotation in those seats. See the same displays that the crew utilizes while they were in flight. Once again, has been successful. Well, first of all, it made an on-time splashdown in the, I guess this would be, considered in the Florida Keys down near at Dry Tortugas, and they had out of the water. They are now on the recovery vessel and standing by for the final preparations performed by the recovery team prior to basically opening that side hatch. Once again, this will be the first Polaris Dawn crew will have fresh air. It'll be fresh, salty, fishy air, but fresh air nonetheless. And there we can see the Dragon capsule now being moved toward the central part of the ship. You can see there are some SpaceX crew members also wearing respirators, once again, as we will perform the final hypergolic safety sniffing tests. As I mentioned earlier, beginning to the Dragon capsule down with fresh water to try and rinse that salt water off of the metallic components.
This is very exciting. We're just a few more procedures that they have to go through in order to open that hatch, but just a few minutes away from hatch opening. And again, the first person that will meet them will be the flight surgeon, who will make sure that the crew is feeling good and ready to exit their seats.
For those of you that have joined just recently, the Dragon capsule carrying the Polaris Dawn crew splashed down just at 12:36 a.m. Pacific time, 3:36 a.m. East Coast time. And here we are 40 minutes later. Pretty quick operations by the recovery teams in terms of getting over to where the capsule landed, getting the parachutes out of the water and adhering the required straps, and ultimately lifting the Dragon capsule up onto the recovery vessel, as we just saw a few minutes ago. Right now, the recovery team outside of the Dragon capsule, like I said before, spraying down the capsule with some fresh water.
Dragon SpaceX, stand by for side hatch opening and egress.
All right, good news there.
Copy that, SpaceX. We're standing by.
Looks like those safety checks were quick and successful as everyone has doffed their respirators.
And there you can see officially the hatch is open.
I just heard cheering from a distant part of the building. I have a feeling that came from the Dragon teams at their computers. That was pretty cool. That is the flight surgeon doing initial medical checks, making sure that everybody is feeling good. I have a feeling by his smiling face, he's getting 4 smiling faces in return.
The Polaris Dawn crew has now officially taken their first breath of Earth air in the last 5 days.
We can see the background basically putting up some protective fixtures around the side hatch in order to ensure that as the crew egresses and gets assisted as they come out of the don't hurt the side hatch seals or themselves. Obviously want to protect the individuals as well.
And super exciting, we can see that the crew is now prepping the Dragon capsule for the crew egress. And there is, they're going to be removing their harnesses, removing any equipment out of the way to ensure they're safe to step out of their seats and egress the Dragon capsule.
Even the flight surgeon has to be assisted. It's some tough maneuvering. So we'll start to see the footrests. The recovery team will come in, and there is our first live view with the side hatch open, fist pumps, thumbs up. I'm sure if we had audio, there would be some cheers as well.
I'm sure the crew is so excited to be home. Mission, like they said, after 5 days of some historic milestones.
That smiling face there in the side hatch taking pictures, I'm sure that is John Krause, also known as Snap. He is the content director for the Polaris Dawn program. I'm sure it's an exciting moment to be able to capture, both with video and photo, the smiling faces of the crew members. Now, we get 6 crew members, recovery team, they'll come in, they will start to remove the footrests at the bottoms of each seat. That will help give a little bit more moving room area to for folks to get in and help our 4 Polaris Dawn astronauts get out a little bit easier.
Being removed there, as Kate mentioned.
Fun fact about those footrests, they are custom sized for each astronaut, as well as the armrest. So each armrest and footrest basically comes in like a small, medium, or large option, and depending on, excuse me, the foot length and the arm length of each individual, appropriate size for their body measurements.
Yeah, I mean, that goes with the seats themselves, the suits themselves are all customized to each individual astronaut and crew member. Basically, they get a customized version for themselves for these missions.
Now we can see that, the crew members are now able to undo their safety harnesses, their 5-point safety strap, and I guess that would be the last step before being able to get out. Now it seems as though the first person to come out will be Anna Menon, who is on the far right side as we are looking at it. She is in seat 4, yeah. So Anna is now making her way with this assistant. Mission specialist Anna Menon.
There she is.
Fellow SpaceXer.
Yes.
So happy. I love this.
Welcome back to Earth, Anna.
We heard Haley Arsenault, who was one of the mission specialists, and for the Inspiration 4 mission, we heard her say that Jared always let the ladies go first, and so I have a feeling that Sarah might be the next one to eat her now getting out of her seat. She and Anna had the 2 window seats. SpaceX team assisting her to make sure that she doesn't in any way
So much excitement. Our second SpaceXer to fly in space, mission specialist Sarah Gillis, back on Earth.
So cool to see her. Now, egressing is our pilot, Kid Poteet. That we're going to see some thumbs up once Kid exits. It's pretty cool to see that they are coming out, standing up on their own 2 feet and walking off.
SpaceX, Dragon, this is the final call.
Some dance moves.
That's pretty great. I think that move should be added to the required choreography for human spaceflight missions. You know, we have the astronaut lean back, their rocket on launch day. The kid shuffle, I think, should be the next one for post egress. We heard Jared get one last call out on the loops before egressing himself.
Polaris Dawn crew member egressing Dragon Resilience, Commander Jared Isaacman. Second frequent flyer in Dragon, completing his second mission in space.
For a second, I thought... For a second, I thought he was saying goodbye to his spacecraft, but it turns out he was saying goodbye to the people still in there assisting him with his egress. So incredible to see. What a week.
What a week.
And now with our Polaris Dawn crew safely back home on Earth and getting checked out by our medical team, what an incredible and exciting mission this has been. Next up, the crew will actually catch a helicopter flight back to shore where they will rejoin their families.
Over the 5-day mission, Polaris Dawn set records and marked a few firsts that are critical to SpaceX's long-term plans for making humanity a multi-planetary species. Tuesday, September 10th at 5:23 a.m. Eastern Time from Launch Complex 39A at the Kennedy Space Center, Dragon climbed to an apogee of just over 1,408 kilometers, flying further than any Dragon to date and traveling further from Earth than any human, the Apollo program. Then on September 12th, SpaceX teams and the Polaris Dawn crew successfully conducted the first spacewalk from Dragon, testing our new in-house developed EVA suits and procedures that will be critical for building bases and cities on the Moon and Mars.
Yeah, and it was so cool to watch that. The crew also performed science and research experiments while in orbit, including 36 research studies and experiments designed to advance both human health on Earth and during long-duration spaceflight. And over the course of the mission, the crew demonstrated Starlink's power to transform the way we communicate with in low Earth orbit, including that incredible music moment, which I've watched many times and will continue to watch even more. Now, our future in space is definitely bright, and it's really exciting to think about where we will be in the not too distant future. With all of that, thank you so much for joining us tonight and all week. As always, be sure to check x.com/SpaceX for updates. I'm Kate Tice.
And I'm Jesse Anderson. Thank you to everyone for being with us on mission, and have an incredible night.